Welcome back, everyone. This is Mr. Brain, your friendly neighborhood gaming dad, and if you haven't already figured it out yet, this isn't my city. Now, I posted a video a little while back now that offered up the opportunity to go over your arena team on video so that I can go over my process and hopefully teach people on how to understand their teams as well as update their teams if they happen to run across similar issues. This person here went above and beyond and reached out to me in order to give me access to their account in order to go over their arena. And I just logged in, haven't done anything else. As you can see, I've still left even their chat bars untouched. All I'm going to do is look at their arena team and their heroes and see what I can do. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Now, from what I can see right now, they're already punching above their weight class with only 6.6 million power, and in the top 20s being mostly 7.5s, even an 8. They're doing fairly well for themselves. So let's see what team has gotten them this far. Looking at their defensive lineup, I can already see a couple of things I would want to change. But all in all, this is a very good start to a team, and I see why they've been doing fairly well. The first things I want to point out here are they have Lee, they have Alex, they're leveling up good heroes as lead commanders, and there's no major positioning errors. They have tank, sort of off tank, sitting on the front row. They have a great damage dealer in the back row, and then they have another semi-decent damage dealer in Charlie, also running heavy buffs. So I see why they've done very well for themselves. So let's check in Arena how well their buffs stack up to the rest of their squads, because this is the best way for me to be able to see it. And as you can see here, person after my own heart, heavy infantry squad buffs here. 33.5, 20% higher, even at this level, is pretty much unheard of, but it's working out really well for them. And that makes complete sense because they're using squads that don't primarily use any other troop type. Another 15-20% increase here on infantry. They've got decent buffs. Their equipment looks like they're leaning more towards the building side of things. They wanted to get that squad capacity, which is really nice, and it's good for infantry defense. The pants, always a great choice just to get that research speed because that's going to hold you up in the long term. But I'm getting sidetracked. Not bad equipment. Spent their parts in the backpack for increased damage dealt, the vest for infantry buffs, and the knife for infantry buffs. It's the only place they've put parts. So they were definitely leaning into this. As far as their heroes, fully awakened Liam, Martin, maxed out first skill. Rigoro with good squad counter damage. Cannot be upset there. Edward not being awakened is a little bit of a downside, but as you can see, it's not much of a difference. And the one that they left off was the Garrison. It's fine. Went with stat buffs on Jaden, and went with squad capacity on Zia. All in all, this is not a bad setup. Let's see what we can do to change things around, because I do like the idea of Lee being here, but I don't think Akemi capitalizes on that damage quite as well as we want her to. And we do have one loss here, and Lee Akemi is doing the most damage, with Charlie and Alex kind of lagging behind. I would have expected Charlie to do a bit more damage here. So let's see if we can really lean into that damage dealing potential from Lee and give Alex a different partner. So let's see what our options are. Okay. Don't have Tom, which kind of sad, I'll admit. But Tom does come up later, so not really going to hurt too much later. Lewis, also lacking, is another damage dealing opportunity that got missed out on. We will try and work around it. Zia isn't bad. Having the additional heals and it being sort of an AoE heal is helpful. And her damage isn't horrible. She's one of the only other AoE epic commanders that can be used outside of Akemi or Freya. And since Freya's Rider, we're not going to use her. There's just not enough damage potential there. Akemi has the reduction in travel speed paired with damage dealt to target squads for them being slowed. So I believe that's what the idea was that they were going with. Did they talent Lee to make use of that? Not really. What you can do in this situation is this is one of the only instances that I would have taken a point in this buff. And that is to get Akemi's buff, just Akemi's stats just a little bit higher. I'm not going to mess around with this talent tree because not my gems, not my monkeys. So let's go back in here, see what we can do with this defensive build. If I want to lean into Lee's damage, then I need to get Charlie with Lee. So let's do that first. Let's pair Charlie with Lee. Since Lee does not have any of the talents that require more than 2 troops, we will keep it at just 2. Smart play there. So we have our heaviest damage and biggest debuff on the team all the way in the back corner. Rigoro being out as a bait troop is great, but he needs someone else that can either deal damage or give great counter damage. I personally use Thunder for the heavier heals, and it works out, but early on you need to have a hero like Charlie or no, honestly, early on I used Charlie as the bait troop because you're dealing with 3 or 4 enemies at once, and that makes great use of Charlie's rage generation to keep Rigoro's shield up. So let's plan on repositioning Rigoro in the box and put him with Alex instead. Don't know why that doesn't have max troops. So we're going to place him in the box. And I think Liam Martin is just fine on the front row right now. So we will leave that as well. Jaden Zia backline is fine. We need to have a semi-decent bait troop. And I think Edward Russell will work just fine right now. You will eventually get new infantry commanders that you can use, which will start to sift out Russell, Edward, Zia, ones like that. Eventually you may get around to getting to Tom, which would be great, and that will sift Liam out. So let's try this. Jaden Zia will give Zia a bit more damage and keep Jaden's buff on the back line, which will help. Before I complete this, let me make sure that Jaden's stats Jaden's talents don't include that leader tree. They don't. Since he's not using any of these up here yet, he can use a single troop type without hindrance. So, back in here, and since I didn't save it, you get to watch me do all this clicking one more time. Jaden's here, and let's get Edward Russell and try out Lee Charlie. I think this will be a slight improvement. They did give me the authorization to test it against someone that they normally fight. So let's see who we can pick here. This is someone that's fairly close. There. Let's just go through. Try and get them to a top 20 spot. I see some mistakes. Let us see if we can abuse them. So I will put Rigoro, Edward. Let's see if we can break this line before they break us. And I think this will work in this scenario. I want to keep Lee protected as much as possible, and that will guarantee he stays off to that side. Liam and Jaden can be pushed over to here and still have their AoE work. So the goal here is to manage to kill Park before they kill Edward. And so far, I'm dealing more damage. I don't have as many troops though. So, and I got to yellow first, but they have more skill damage available to them. I did end up getting Liam on this side, which will be just fine. And I'm going to be up against their Jaden Martin and their Peter Lee first thing. Let's go ahead and speed this up to 2 times. And it doesn't look like it's holding as well as I would have hoped. Nope, they've got a decent squad here in an Awakened Cynthia, and Tom Rigoro are just too hard to break down. And I got bad luck with targeting on Peter Lee being one of the last ones they take. So I will use this one more time and see what I can do. I want to give her a chance to be in that top 20 if at all possible. Hey, Charlie, Catherine Cynthia, Akemi Sio. It's weird doing all of this trial and error stuff with troops that aren't mine. So take a whack at it at 2 times speed again. I can definitely deal more damage. And with Edward being so low leveled, it's causing a bit of a problem there. But I did manage to line up on his Lee Charlie first, or hers, depending on how you look at it. And this is going to line up on Akemi Sio next, which is going to knock out their 2 big AoE troops immediately. And I think I've got this one in the bag. Lee Charlie is still holding up very strong. Rigoro is not taking too much damage, and he stayed within AoE range at all times. Now it's a 3v1 against Liam Alex. We've got this one. So I can leave this account feeling good about getting them into the top 20. And I'll go ahead and get them the rewards for that. But let's check the stats real quick. And this is what I like to see. Liam Martin is capable of quite a bit of damage, especially when they last as long as they do. But this is what I wanted to see. This Lee Charlie pulling off 30,000 kills after being targeted more so than Liam Martin was. Jaden Zia is there to heal. Edward Russell is there to distract. Alex's buffs are always going to be helpful, and he's still got fair few amount of kills because Rygoro's counter damage. So we can continue. We can head in here. They've already went ahead and got their top 20, so they must have got in here at one point before. But I want to thank this person again for allowing me to use their account. Stick with this team. See if it works out well for you. If you do end up getting Thunder, you can put Rygoro back out with Thunder, and he can pretty much out heal a lot of the damage being dealt. This will allow you to pull Russell out of the team entirely and put maybe Edward with Alex. In the meantime, you can level up Edward and it will help, but I would focus on getting Jaden up to 50, Lee up to 60, and finish off getting Rygoro up to 60. That would be your primary goals for now. I believe this is probably your second. It might be your second run of Sven, so you should be getting ranged commanders next. Actually, is it? Yeah, you should be getting the ranged commanders next. So, if you do manage to get those other heroes, be great. I can work with trying to get them situated in your team. But until then, hopefully this setup works for you. And let me know if you have any questions. And to anyone watching this video, hopefully you learned something out of this. I'm more than happy to do this for any person. If you're not comfortable giving me your account, please just send me reports in-game, and I'll be happy to analyze and break down those and send you the messages over Discord or in-game. And with that, this is Mr. Brain, your friendly neighborhood gaming dad. If you subscribe to my Patreon, then you got to this video 24 hours before anyone else did. If you're just watching this on YouTube for the first time and you want to get to these videos just a little bit sooner than everybody else, head on over to my Patreon page. It's linked in my YouTube. Subscribe over there and you will get all the videos that I make, save for some of the streaming videos, 24 hours before anyone else does. And with that, this is your friendly neighborhood gaming dad, signing off.